All right, we are live. Let's add some light. Let there be light. There we go. Awesome. Okay. All right, so I don't know. I didn't really want to do didn't really want to work on that cleaning site today. So I am going to do something I want to do, which is jump on the hype train and install Laravel Nightwatch. Everybody's saying that they install it and it found like three things, or two things, or found something that they weren't aware of. Requests that were taking too long, or a bug, or whatever. Their site had more 500s than they realized. I have like basic error checking and tracking and monitoring and so forth on Laravel Shift, but I've never given it like a deep dive. Plus, again, it's Nightwatch. It's cool. It just came out. I'm just starting at the very beginning here. I'm completely naive. I have not been, again, I haven't been on the hype train other than just kind of seeing on Twitter people, saying, oh, it found this, it found that, it found this. So let's see if it finds something. That's kind of the goal. I'm going to try to install it. I'm going to see if it finds something. I'm going to attempt not to leak too much information. But anyway, let's do it. Let's do it. So, start monitoring, right? That's what we want to do. I am Jason McCreary. Oh man, here we go. Let's use development. There we go. And does it suggest? Yeah, let's do a suggest. Oh, you're going to show it. Of course you fucking are. Okay, let's do a different suggestion. Let's do this. Full screen me. Full screen me. There we go. Let's get a different strong password. Okay, good. Use that one and create. Okay, hold on. It's going to send me a verification code. Let's go through this. Yeah, if anybody has used oh my god, if anybody has used Nightwatch and has any suggestions, please tell me. I'll follow those. Let's see here. Let me turn off the comments for a second. Okay, verification code, verify email. Okay, we sent an email. All right, let me go log into my email. Here we go. There's the verification code, nice and speedy. Let me make sure I got other stuff turned off here. Okay, cool. Please verify your email address. There it is. Sign up, verify, boom. Okay. Let's just start with free. I'm just choosing start with free. Let's say I'm just gonna fill out this form off screen here for a second. Just cause oh, they have like a address finder. Wow. No, okay, create organization. All right, cool. Application name, Shift. I am in the United States. Add your first production environment. All right, it is https laravelshift.com. Okay, install agent. Here's some tokens here, so let me finish this up. Okay, so we're going to, where do I want to run this? Configure Nightwatch to capture your logs, optional. What is my log stack currently? It's probably just log or single, which is the default of log. Okay. I think everybody probably wants to see this screen. So here, let me do this. Let me install it on the server real quick, and then when we get to the sampling and configuration, I'll share my screen again. Sorry, this isn't so fun watching me, but let me just finish this part. Okay, so it's basically giving me the composer require commands. Let me get up to the web server. I don't even think I need to mess with this locally, it looks like. So we're just gonna do it live. I'm just hitting paste. I'm pasting the composer require command. Fingers crossed I don't bring my site down. All right. That is installing in the background. Now, actually, I'm still running Laravel 11. Okay, that seems to be fine. I actually haven't upgraded Shift to Laravel 12 just because at the time there weren't some compatible packages, and I don't like to change anything like in my busy season, right? Like, why would you do that? So, but it is actually something I've been wanting to do, so. All right, everything is bumping. I don't want that to happen. Hold on a second. Let's RF those. Clear, sh, optimize. Let me just make sure the site's still up. Okay, seems to be up. Let me add the configuration stuff they're talking about real quick so I can get past these token screens, and I should be able to share my screen again. Thanks everybody for bearing with me here. We're gonna change, okay, we're gonna add the Nightwatch token they say to add. And I'm gonna drop in this log stack stuff, but I need to check what my current logging is set at first. Log channel single. Okay, so changing it. Okay, I'm currently log channel single. I'm gonna change it to stack per their recommendation, and then the log stack variable will be single comma Nightwatch. So it will post to my original single, which is just the log, and it will post to Nightwatch. So I'm opting in to do the Nightwatch thing. It's actually optional, it says on the screen, but I'm gonna do what they say. Okay, let me clear my cache. Let me make sure I'm on the next screen and nothing's gonna leak. Things seem to be running. Let me close my old email. Let's bring up the Laravel Shift site too. Okay, it's running. I'm gonna go next. Let me just make sure nothing's leaking here. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna share screen again. I don't know what's next on these screens, so if I leak something, hopefully I can rotate the key. Okay, so I was just on, I just SSH'd into the server to change some of the env variables. So someone on chat, let me bring up chat. Let's see here. Make sure you turn the sample rate down. We used all ours up in an hour. Okay. So, sampling reduces the number of events sent to Nightwatch to manage your use. Okay, to manage your use. Recommend starting at 10 for request sampling and adjusting as needed. Okay, so make sure to turn the sampling rate down. We used all ours. James, how large is your site? I mean, Shift probably gets 30 to 40,000, requests a day. I don't feel like that's a lot. It's not small, but it's not a lot, in my opinion. It's not like we're getting hundreds of thousands of requests a day. I'm gonna leave it alone. This is what they recommend. I'm gonna leave it alone. But James, in the chat, tell me if you bumped this somewhere else. I guess this is an env thing. So I guess I gotta set this as an env. Okay, I can set it as an env so I can quickly change it. So we'll see what's coming in. Let me go set this as an env. Let's turn off the screen. I'll hit next on this flow path too, just to make sure. Okay, so full screen me, sorry. Okay, let me set this env. We'll dump that down. I'll redo the cache. And let me hit next on the screen, just make sure nothing's crazy. Okay, so now we run the Nightwatch agent. I assume this is supposed to be run on your web server? Like, I have a lot of workers. I don't think you would run Nightwatch on those. Like, I don't think so, but I don't know. It would have been nice. Maybe I skipped over that in the instructions. I have that question in my mind. Okay, I'm gonna start the Nightwatch agent. Let's see if it explodes. Oh, how does this run in the background? Run the Nightwatch agent. Should I just put it in the background myself? I don't know. I'm gonna hit complete. Okay, we're getting activity. Let me share my screen again. All right, so the Nightwatch agent is running in the background. Well, sorry, it's running in the foreground. I'm getting traffic, of course. So I got two 500s. Did I already break something? No. Let's go to run shift. Okay, I did break something. Okay, what did I break? Crap. What did I break? I already broke stuff. Poop. What did I break? Tail-F storage logs Laravel. Whoa. Something's going on in here. Database file at path. Database file at path. Database file at path. That's really not fucking cool. Database file at path. My production database doesn't exist. What did this get? Why is it looking for a path? It makes me feel like it swapped itself to SQLite. That makes me feel like it somehow swapped the database driver to SQLite. That's very strange. That's not pretty. Let's start undoing stuff. Let's start undoing stuff here. All right, hold on. Let me go full screen me again. Let's see what's going on here. That's not good. Why is it saying that? Okay, first things first. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do PHP artisan down. Let's just bring the site down for a second. That's very unfun. All right, let me look at when I did the install. I'm wondering maybe if like some stupid command ran or something. Oh, where is this? Okay, so it installed a bunch of stuff. What is this? Okay, that's old. I'm just scrolling up in my terminal history here. Maybe there was like some discover command that did something I didn't want it to do. I'm just trying to find where I was here. It's a long history. It's a pro tip. Make sure your terminal history is like tens of thousands of lines. Trying to see, don't need to go back that far. Here we go. All right, what's going on here? Okay, so it just ran Composer install. It installed Nightwatch. It ran Composer install. It discovered the packages. Did it discover? It discovered Laravel Nightwatch, which is new. What did it publish? It didn't seem to publish anything. Livewire assets. Yeah, all that should be fine. What the F is going on here? That is really not cool. What changed? The database, is the database still there? That would be unfortunate. Let me take out this log stack stuff. Maybe something with the log stack changed. Log stack single. Let's put this back. Let's sh optimize. The homepage wasn't a good indicator to see that the site was still running because it doesn't have any database transactions. It doesn't hit the database. Okay. We got the, let me bring it back up. PHP Artisan up. What in the F? What in the world would have killed the database? Is it still there? Show databases. Yeah, it's still here. The database is still here. What is it? Let's go look at this error message again. Order by, let's order by created at, yeah, sorry everybody, you can't see this, but this is a little bit strange, but I'm gonna try to work it out on stream. I'm gonna give this like 5 more minutes and then I'm gonna go cry and figure out what really happened. I'm just trying to see when the last database record was. All right. Okay, so the good news is the database didn't seem to get trashed necessarily. The bad news is like, what is it looking for? Let's look at this log again. Something happened with the log's got more details. What kind of details does the log have? Let me just tail the last 1,000 lines. Let's see what's going on here. SQLite database does not exist. Why the hell does it think it's an SQLite database? What turned on SQLite? Am I crazy? DB driver. What is it? DB driver or DB connection? I always forget. Let's go find out. Laravel. Here, we can go not full screen me anymore for a second. Trying to see. It's very strange that it suddenly defaulted to SQLite. But that's basically what it did. That seems to be what it's done. It's defaulted to SQLite somehow. Which knowing the upgrades, that makes sense. That became the default in Laravel 11. My app's still running Laravel 11, so either I accidentally killed DB connection MySQL when I was doing this. I don't think I did, but maybe I did. But the database is still there. I think everything's fine. Let's go back. Let me hard code this in here. I don't know why this went away, but let me say MySQL. Let's just get the site running again. I think this will do it. I have no idea why it suddenly forgot that it uses MySQL, but I think this will fix it. Okay. That seems to have fixed it. Okay, let me explain, since it was full screen me for a little bit. Somewhere in editing this is probably my fault, but somewhere along the lines of editing the env file in production, that's on me, I must have killed the DB connection value that was hard-coded as MySQL. I'm going to compare that to my last deployment where, obviously I have deploy steps instead of editing the file directly on the server. So anyway, the point is, I'll compare that and see if DB connection somehow is locally, in which case that means I probably, in editing it, must have, pressed some scary button and deleted that somehow. But anyway, site seems to be back up now. So the homepage is not a good indicator because the homepage doesn't have any database transactions. It's a completely static page just for performance. So you really need to look at one of these interior pages and or log in, which is what I normally do if I'm trying to test something. So, okay, a little bit of a tangent there. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go turn Nightwatch back on and see if somehow it defaults to SQLite. Because if it does, then there's some instruction step that I missed. So apologies, everyone. Let's go full screen me again. Let's go full screen me again because I gotta go get my keys from Nightwatch here, and we don't want to share those. So now what I have to do? How do I get all these keys back again? Okay. Let's borrow. Okay, I need to borrow this. Okay, so let's edit production again. Oh good, okay, never mind. I don't need those. I just commented them out. I'm so smart. Not so smart I somehow swapped the database connection, but I'm so smart in the fact that I saved the token and don't have to add a new app. Okay, cool. So now let's SH optimize that to clear the cache. Let's cancel out of this. How do I cancel out of this? Yes, I want to close that. All right, let's go back. How do we get to my app again? Back. Dashboard. There we go. Okay. Everything was like a 500, so that's not a very good start. Okay, so now we need to start the Nightwatch agent again, I believe. So let's just start the Nightwatch agent in the background again. Let's start picking up stuff. Or sorry, not in the background. I'm just going to start Nightwatch in my current console. So I kind of have full control of what's going on. Next, I'm going to go make sure this page refreshes. Okay, it does. All right, let me make sure I'm not leaking anything as I click around. Okay, I don't think there's anything that is leaked. All right, let's go me. All right, cool. So we're back to the dashboard. The site appears to be running. The site appears to be running. I'm gonna go ahead and sign in. Let's sign in just so there's some traffic. So let's see how quickly it picks up the traffic, actually. That's kind of cool. So again, it's not a very heavily traffic site per se, but we should start seeing some stuff come across here, I would think. Slowly. Also, if you're still watching the stream, go visit LaravelShift.com. Click around. Go to your dashboard. Let's get some traffic in here. I imagine the agent is still running. Yep. Ingest successful. Okay, so it's ingesting stuff, supposedly. All right. So we should just need to wait to see this pop up in the dashboard. So what is this dashboard telling us here? So the average, about 400 milliseconds, so about half a second to load the page. There are definitely some caching things I want to do on Shift. It is not optimized in any way, really. So there's definitely some things I'd like to take advantage of there. Okay, yeah, we got a lot of exceptions because the database was wrong somehow. Supposedly no users were impacted. That's nice. Okay, authenticated. Okay, so I'm not seeing, let's just refresh. Let's hard refresh. Okay, there we go. So maybe these don't auto refresh. Maybe they only auto refresh every now and then. So good, we got some authenticated users, one of which is probably me. I'm gonna click view. Apologies if I'm leaking anything. Okay, so I'm leaking some emails. Sorry, let's go back. So some people on the stream signed in, it looks like. Sorry about that. Let's click into requests. Okay, so the home page, obviously we got those 500s from earlier. Let me focus. Sorry, everybody. I'm a leaker. I'm a leaky streamer. Apologies. Okay, so the homepage. So see, check this out. The homepage, based on our average is about half of a second, which is kind of slow. I should probably look into that. But the homepage is only about a quarter of a second. So all things considered, and again, not a lot of data here, but all things considered, again, that goes back to the caching of the pages. So that's kind of nice. And the fact that that homepage again doesn't actually call anything on the database or whatever. So okay, cool. Let's see here. Let me catch up on the chat for a second. So James, you said 10%'s good. When we set it up, we had it set to 100. Oh, okay. Okay, so their recommendation is good. Jobs count to massive level app schedule event. Check the additional sampling options. The one only limits request. Okay. So Florian says you run it on all servers. So I was curious. Yeah, I was curious. Like, should you only run this on your web servers, or should it also be run on your workers? My workers are actually separate for Shift. I do see commands and schedule tasks and so forth over here. So like, yeah, I definitely could understand being able to put it on more than one server. Yes, I've definitely broken something in my env file. I'll have to go take a look. Yeah, I always run optimize after changing it. So, yeah. I thought either because I manually Composer required it on the server that maybe some command ran, one of the Composer scripts ran and broke something. That was my first reaction. But yeah, since it was clearly trying to default to SQLite, which is the default, I'll have to check the .env that's part of the actual deploy and see if it's set in there. I don't know why. I'd have to take a look. It's still running Laravel 11 and SQLite became the default. But anyway. Florian, dude needs an infra person. I figured it out. Come on. I figured it out. What did it take? Like 4 minutes? It's not so bad. By the time I contacted my infrastructure person, it would have taken longer. So I figured it out. Cool. All right. env was changed, I bet. Yeah, exactly. So you guys were on it. Good stuff. Okay, cool. All right, let's go back and see. Let's see what else it might have found here. I saw that Jason Beggs was on here. Hey, Beggs. I don't know how involved you were with Nightwatch. Do you know if these panels like refresh on their own? I'm seeming to have to hard refresh. Maybe they're set at a low refresh rate or something. I could understand that. Let me do this. I want to click around through a few of these tabs, but I feel kind of bad that I'm potentially leaking not only my stuff, but those of you who might have logged into the site. So let me go full screen me again. Let me just click through a few and kind of make sure they're safe here, because there could be things, right? All right. I'm looking at the queries. I just kind of want to see how detailed these are. Okay, cool. I don't see anything here. So we got no mails. Queries are fine. The exceptions are all the database paths, all the SQLite. That's pretty good though. See, my app's not throwing. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Beggs. Yeah, doesn't seem like they refresh, or at least maybe not frequently. We got some. Okay, cool. So it kind of tracks your scheduled jobs. We can click around in there. I'm just looking at commands. So there's some commands that run in the background. There's jobs. I'm trying to get into requests here. I just want to what does requests give us? I just want to make sure I don't click around and leak any more data than I already have. So again, I'm not getting there's not a lot of activity right now. Again, we're looking at maybe 100 requests so far. Did they have like a tab for like insights or something? I thought they had like maybe a tab. Maybe it was just the issues tab, which my issues are all the SQLite driver. I just want to click into, let me click back to the dashboard. Set up thresholds. Nope, don't want any of that. Jobs. So authenticated users. So it seems like some people went out and signed in. What do you see here when you... Oh, okay, so if you click into the user, now again, this shows their email address or their username. So I don't want to do that, but what does this have? Top route. Okay, so it shows their top routes, their slowest routes. The account page actually took a second. Wow. Let me just go back to the request page. Let's hang out there for a second. Yeah, look at that. Wow, okay. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so we're getting a little more traffic now, so we're starting to see some more stuff. Now, again, the home page is still kind of hovering in right at 1/4 of a second, but check this out. The account page takes over a second. Takes over a second to load. Same with the invoices page. Now, I know why these take longer. The account page specifically, because it's probably mapping through. It's doing the Socialite login, but the account page itself probably has the most queries. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that those queries are slow. We can go look at them here in a second, but it probably has a lot because if we go back and look, like it's building the navigation, it's figuring out your recent connections, it's figuring out which one of these things to show you, it's determining if like you have a shifty plan, which is talking to cashier. There's a lot that happens on this page. So while I wish it didn't take a second, that's not super alarming. And again, the sample rate here is pretty low, 2 requests for the account page. So I'm not going to act on that right this minute, but so the order page is nice. That 1/4 of a second. Shifty plan subscription shift. Now again, this is another dashboard page. Now 2 seconds, that sucks. Again, only one, so who knows? They might have been someone with 100 repos. So I'm not gonna act on that immediately. What's this? Broadcast auth API Docker. I'm so afraid to click something and like show a token or something. What are these though? What is this saying? Oh, 400. Okay. 400. So I guess the broadcast auth there is probably a 403. My guess is that when the database wasn't running, some of this broadcast auth stuff in the background failed. That would be my guess. Because if you didn't refresh the page, the notifications in the background just would have been failing. Now, you think they might have been a 500, but maybe they just played it safe at 403. I don't know. Can we sort these? Yeah, let's sort these. So auth provider callback, that makes sense. It's over a second. Again, it's connecting to Socialite. It's nice to see that that's separated though. That makes sense. And then the account page and the invoices page. Workbench page. Videos, doesn't make sense. But again, it was a 500, so it probably timed out on attempting to connect to the database. So that's fair that it's over half a second. Yeah, okay. Let's refresh, see what else we got. So a few more requests. What's P95? Is that like is that like a techie way to say more of the medium? Like it's weeding out the extremes. Is that what that means? Like statistically? That's what I guess. I don't know exactly what P95 stands for, but that's my guess. Is that if you weed out the two extremes. Okay. What else can we look at in here? So I imagine I would have to leave this running for a while, let it pick up on some issues, let it pick up on some queries. I think the queries all still have the placeholders. So like, if we look at the slowness here. So this, oh, okay, here you go. This one, these are kind of nasty. These are kind of nasty. All these ones that check the status, some of these are pretty... I feel like I should probably index token. What are these doing? What is this? Let's see. Select from orders where user ID and status is not in and Stripe ID is not null. Why would I have such a complex query? That's interesting. Yeah, I don't like those. What's interesting is that these always do user ID and status. So that to me right there means that, you know, potentially having a composite, you know, a composite index there or something between user ID and status. I mean, that would definitely help. The rest of these are pretty quick. I mean, under 100 milliseconds. Again, I'm not preferences, you know, again, this is indexed, so that's why we're getting, you know, it's probably searching on user ID. So like, that's why it's doing pretty well. The 100 milliseconds on a couple of these, like checking for existence or distinct, I could understand those taking a bit longer. Select star from orders where token. This, I should definitely have an index on token. There's no reason not to there. These are for the Docker shifts. They're based on token, not user ID. So the Docker shifts are identified that way. So as an identifier, it should definitely be indexed. So I could tweak that. I think my biggest takeaway from this, aside from not editing your env in production, or probably the queries. Probably look at the queries. See, those never would have tripped. They're still under a second, so they never would have tripped my MySQL slow log, right? But they're still pretty bad. Like, that's pretty bad. And again, that's probably contributing the fact that this is taking half of a second, and I know looking at these, those are the queries that are on some of those pages, so those dashboard pages that we looked at, right? This kind of thing. Select, you know, get your most recent 5 right here, right? So it's not that the page itself is slow per se, or the amount of queries per se, it's these singular queries that are actually causing a bit of an issue. And just on the surface, again, we could see right away some kind of composite key on user ID and status would, you know, would probably open that up. Let me, before we quit, just so we can go down that just a little bit more and walk away from something here. Let me go full screen me again. I'm gonna describe this orders table real quick. Just wanna make sure I don't, again, leak anything. I'm gonna describe this orders table real quick. So let me set up that command so we can see which indices exist. And let me click into these queries real quick and see. I'm not gonna change one in real time based on, you know, it being the orders table. But okay, so I wonder how you're supposed, the other thing I'm curious about is I wonder how you're supposed to run Nightwatch in the background. I mean, do they just recommend like using supervisor, I suppose, probably? I'm sure I could find some documentation on that, but it'd be nice to figure that out too, so I could let this run, you know, overnight. But anyway, let me get into the database. Let's describe orders. Okay, cool. And does it tell me any keys? No, there's got to be more keys than that. It says key primary. None of that's keyed? Wow. That can't be true. Is that true? No wonder these queries are taking forever. I could have sworn I had a key on user ID. Let me look at these one more. Let me click into these one more time. Okay, and total and Stripe ID and blah, 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 blah. Okay. What is this one? Order and status. Okay. You don't necessarily want to go adding like a crap load of indices on your table necessarily. But I'm shocked, unless I'm wrong, I'm shocked on this output to see that the only primary keys are, well, of course the primary key of ID, but the only other keys are actually on subscription and connection ID. There does not, at least in me reading this output, seem to be one on user ID at all. So that should be added for sure. And token should probably be added because that's internal to the database, or internal to the application. That is a primary way we look things up. Okay. So let's go. Let me go back to the queries. Let me share my screen again. So I think the takeaway here is probably to get these running much faster. This one could fall to the bottom. This could be the fastest query there is, honestly. There's no reason it shouldn't be. Yeah, there's no reason that takes over a quarter of a second. That's ridiculous. So I think the trick will be figuring out how to add the right composite key on probably user ID and status. This seems to be more or less repeated enough. See, now look, subscription ID has a key, a composite key in the database. Look at that, 7 milliseconds. So again, this taking, almost half a second, stupid. Totally stupid of me. And I can't believe I don't have one on user ID. That needs to go on like that. And based on the queries I'm looking at here, I'll probably make a composite where user ID is first and then status is next. Just based on the fact that there seem to already be multiple queries that use that combination. So yeah, I'm gonna dig through these a little bit more to really dial in that key. I think it's at least gonna be user ID and status. At a minimum, it should be user ID, but based on the queries that I'm seeing here, I seem to mostly be, and I'll scour the code too, I mostly seem to be using those together. And if you're using them together, you can craft the queries to do the right thing. So yeah, I think I'll do some, I'll add some probably locally, do some explain, do all the fun stuff there. If you're super interested in that stuff and not familiar, I'm almost positive Aaron Francis gave a good talk on this, gosh, years ago now. I'm sure he has even more videos on that topic specifically. So yeah, I think if you're not familiar with that or why you would add those or how you could craft the queries, again, I know he's got a good talk on that. I remember enjoying it. It was a good refresher. But yeah, I'm gonna dig through these queries to really dial that in, and then check the code where I'm doing, some order wheres. I'm gonna go scour the code for some order wheres and see what's going on. So that's my takeaway. Let me make sure I got everybody. Let me make sure I got everything from the chat. Okay, 90. So yeah, okay, 95th percentile. Okay, cool. Just scroll down on the query page to see where it's used. Scroll down on the query page. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. Let me just make sure. Okay, cool. So yeah, at the bottom of, okay, so at the bottom of the page, it tells you exactly which file and call uses that. So in the case of my longest running query, it's the invoices page, which makes sense because the invoices page was one of the longest running requests. So let me go back. All right, let's see what else we got. Just add an index on user ID would be fine. For the dashboard, you could also cache the result. Definitely going to, at the minimum, add user ID. At a minimum, I'm shocked that was not on there. I'm gonna make sure. Right now I'm just using describe table. That may not display all types of indices. I don't know. I think it should, but it may not. As far as caching, so what you're saying is, cache this dashboard, and I definitely could. But adding an indice is like a one-time thing. Once with this insight, again, I could dial that in. So I'm gonna start there. That's like a one-line done, never have to do it again kind of thing. Whereas the cache, there's a lot of complexity there on the cache because while it just shows up the top 5 here, if I go run a shift, then I gotta invalidate the cache to make sure this page re-ups the cache, and so there's just more. It's not just as simple as caching it alone. I then also have to bust the cache at the right times. And there's multiple ways you can run a shift. API, you can purchase one, you can run it from the Shifty Plan dashboard. So if I couldn't optimize it somehow, then I think the true optimization is starting with the database query. If the page is still slow, then absolutely I would wanna cache, look into caching at a higher application level. Okay, cool. Well, this was fun, minus me potentially destroying my database and bringing the site down for a couple minutes. This was fun. So yeah, I agree. I think the hype is real. I think this has given me some immediate insights once I got myself familiar with the dashboard. This has given me some insights to go look at and improve my application. Absolutely, 100%. So I'm gonna let it run overnight and see if it finds even more. And I'll post on Twitter or whatnot. But yeah, I don't see a future stream on Nightwatch specifically. I think adding these indices will definitely clean up some of these over 1 second requests or queries for sure. So anyway, thanks for everybody for joining me on the journey where I brought down my website and then monitored it to improve it. So see you next week.